Welcome to r/Tales from Tech Support, where we get to have a little chuckle at the technologically disadvantaged, like me. I'm Uncle Reddit, and have I got a story for you. Welcome back to the channel. Had a viewer comment the other day about the fact that I've pretty much let on that I'm a carpenter, repeatedly. And they commented on my clothes peg up here, and the fact that there's 2 pegs missing out of that. And yeah. I got no excuse. It is what it is. It was a cheap little pegboard that I've had for years. The glue dried up and the holes were drilled wrong anyway because it's cheap. I don't have room to utilize all the pegs anyway, so they really don't matter to me. But yeah, that's the way it goes. I don't know if you've ever heard the old saying, the cobbler's kids are the last ones to get shoes. Yeah, same thing with carpenters. 4 not working cash registers. This happened about 6 months ago. I had early shift in first level support. We produce software for cash registers. I wasn't finished with my first coffee and the phone rang. A very upset client called. Client, all my cash registers are dead, and one is beeping. Me, the PCs cannot beep if they're down. It must be something else beeping. Maybe a security system? Client, well, they're saying APC. Only one is on, but shows low battery. Since UPSs were not our responsibility, I informed the customer that he has to open a ticket on his IT department. Client, but I can't reach out for them. My phone is dead. The back office PC is dead. I only have my cell phone. I asked the customer to check his breakers. After about 10 seconds, the client says, well, the lights finally turned on and the cash registers are also booting up. I ended the call, noted down the ticket. Not knowing I'm going to go crazy with this job soon, turned out the circuit breakers popped another 10 times before the store nearly caught fire. Luckily, no failure on our side. Short circuit in a splitter box. Yeah, sounds like that guy needs to get an electrician in there, like, now. If that breaker keeps popping, it's either a problem with the breaker, or like you said, a short in some junction box or something like that. Not good. The dreaded, can you fix my XYZ by family members. It finally happened. I was quite lucky, only having to install Sims every other month on my wife's laptop. Wife, stupid admin pop up again. Why can't I have admin rights? Me, because you can't even next finish a simple installer. Wife, dagger stare. My career is not related to tech support at all, but like every self-respecting geek who grew up in the 90s, I'm handy around most tech, which I was able to hide from my family so far. Fast forward to today. I'm chilling in my beanbag, quietly cursing the sadist behind advent of code while my mom and wife are talking and trying to keep my daughter both alive and entertained. Not an easy job. My mom notices that I have a new laptop I'm using and asks if I got it for Christmas. Quite an innocent question. Then my wife starts bragging that it's her old laptop I saved from the junk pile with a simple battery replacement. My mom suddenly goes into a tirade how crappy her current personal laptop is. It's slow, overheats, and runs a self-diagnostic on every boot with some warning. She even took it to the IT guys at her work, remember, personal hardware, and they were so rude they refused to help her. She only spilled some coffee on it, or in it. It's not that sticky, and covered in nail polish mixed with cigarette ash. Ugh. After this bombardment, she looks at me expectantly. You can fix it for me, right? I started to weigh my options here. A, I can go over and try to save that poor machine. Probably filled with all kinds of nasty, battery-dying dust mixed with sugar clinging to everything. B. Tell her to stop bothering the IT guys at work. Go to a repair place who will probably refuse service or rip her off. Or C. With a sigh, I looked for Windows 10 installation media in my drawers, plugged it into the brand new laptop I'm using, and asked her to bathe her granddaughter while the installation finishes. Now I'm listening to Cortana's stupid questions while promising myself that this time I will create a fresh image with all necessary software installed, or at least a chocolatey deployment script. Probably won't happen, like the past N times. Merry Christmas, Mom, and thank you, secretly, as I now have a good excuse for my wife why I need a new gaming laptop. Smiley face. Bonus story. There was a stupid Mahjong game my mom loved way back. It was a trial version with 30 days. Uninstalling and reinstalling didn't work, obviously. However, I quickly figured out if I delete all registry entries related to the game, the counter will restart. A couple years later, I went to university, and unsurprisingly, my phone rang in about 2 weeks in. It was my mom. Mahjong isn't working. I tried to give as simple instructions as possible. Open Start menu, click on Run, type in regedit, then press Enter. Once the registry editor is open, press F3, type in PGMJ in the search field, press enter, delete the entry. Repeat until there are no more entries. Mom said she got it and hung up. Phone rings again 5 minutes later. I deleted regedit.exe, but the game still isn't working. Can you fix it? Told her to look for HOMM3.exe on my PC, and we will talk about Mahjong when I go home for Christmas. She hasn't played Mahjong since then, but regularly beats me in all the Heroes games, sometimes even in Civ. Perks of being a semi-retired widow with way too much time on her hands, I guess. When family knows you have a particular skill set, it's tough to hide it for one, so you got lucky for years, like you said. But it also, you want to do nice things for your family, but there are a select few who will take complete advantage of that fact and just run you ragged. I've been pretty fortunate with that. My family's been pretty good about that and hasn't, run me into the ground. Well, everyone except my wife. But that's to be expected. Something you rarely want to hear from a service provider of any kind. Another tale from my days as a sysadmin tech support person for a university. The building we occupied was slated to be completely renovated, top to bottom. It was originally built in the late 1960s, so we were pretty jazzed to begin this project. Since I was the head of the systems and tech support group, I got called in early to meet with the various planning folks and the outside architects to come up with the networking and power requirements. The university had various standards for what was provided for each room based on some formula, plus the appropriate building codes. The faculty office was so many square feet, had so many power outlets, and so many network drops. Should have a window. A staff office was smaller, might not have a window, and so on. A laboratory had this or that depending on the type. Conference room had a projector or flat panel monitor or whatever. From the get-go, I stressed that as a computer-intensive department, we would need more power outlets and more network drops than the standard, which meant we would also need more switches, so the data/communications room might have to be larger also. The architectural company had sent 2 people to attend the meetings, an older guy and a younger woman. Both were very professional, but as the meeting went on, I got the impression the younger person didn't understand what our special requirements would involve. The older guy didn't say much, mostly he was taking notes on his laptop. By the end of the first meeting, which lasted 3 hours I think, we were wrapping things up and I had the sinking feeling that I was going to have to justify our special needs several times more. The university planning folks were clearly concerned about fitting this project into the budget they had been given, and I was making waves right at the start. There was a funny incident as we were walking out of the conference room. The young lady, who was very enthusiastic, gave me a smile and remarked on how exciting this project was. We've never done a project like this before. I kind of did a double take, forced myself not to laugh and said something like, "You might not want to spread that piece of information around too much." She looked at me with a puzzled look on her face, then realized what I meant and gave me a sheepish grin. In the end, the project was completed with a minimum of headaches, but it was a long haul. Oh my god. Never tell them that you've never done one like this before, ever. Retailer wants admin access to the POS machine. A bit of background. This happened more than a few years ago when I was still at phone support. We served one of the bigger companies that owned a particular high-end mall in our city. This includes their Windows XP and yes, Windows 7 had been out for ages, machines they ran for their POS, point of sale. Roughly paraphrased, heck, it's been a few years, translated for your benefit and dramatized also for your benefit. BC equals blonde clerk. OP equals super experienced support person of 3 months. OP. Hello, this is tech support. You're talking to OP. BC. Hi, this is BC from store such and such. I need you to do some techie stuff and grant me admin access. I can't run this USB because it keeps asking for a password. OP. I'm sorry, did you say USB? What are you trying to run? I assume you mean at the back office computer? BC. It's a bank USB and no, I'm at the POS. OP. I'm not quite following. What kind of USB was it? Where did you get it? BC. Listen, I have a gentleman here waiting. I don't have time for this. Just do your thing and fix the access. It's a big sale and he's in a hurry. OP. I understand, but per company policy, we need to ask these questions for administrative access. So please just explain what it is you're trying to do and why. At this point, I've connected to the POS to check what's up. It was the old-fashioned login to grant admin pop-up and drive open with an icon literally just named bank.exe. BC. I could hear her sigh. Look, this gentleman is a diplomat from China, just bought $40,000 worth of jewelry. He needs us to open this bank program to authorize a transfer to our POS. When I try to do that, it keeps asking for administrator login. Oh my God. I was gasping by shock at the stupidity, and my colleagues already put on the speaker on my phone. OP. Okay, thank you. Unfortunately, this program is not in the pre-authorized list of applications we're allowed to install. There's no such list. No apps is ever to be installed or run on POS that's not in the default image. So I'll have to send this for approval. BC. We can't wait for that. I'm going to miss a huge sale and I'll make sure they know you're the cause. Just give me the access. OP. Sorry, I need to follow policy, but I'll make sure to go directly to the IT director of the company to get this fast-tracked. Got some more rants and we finally hung up. I did send an email to the IT director with all of the details. This girl, which was probably around 25, not only ran the program on the POS, but then called to demand admin access. Looked her up in the system a few months later. Her account terminated. Usually they inactivate most accounts to make it easier to rehire / seasonal work. Oh my goodness. I don't know what the program was, but I have all kinds of bad visions that this guy wasn't buying anything. Basically, once he got administrative rights through that machine, he was going to rip you off bad. Any of you guys know what was up with that? Let me know down below. The day it rained indoors on a sunny day. Forgive my formatting. I have no excuse. I am trash. Me too, OP. Since y'all liked my last post, I thought I'd include one from my early hell help desk at insert big name retail company. Cast. Me equals me, help desk, whipping boy. CX equals customer. CW, coworker who knew his own limits and was a hoot. I was unfortunately actually on the floor selling products when this customer came in stating that his PC was acting strange and wasn't running right when using Microsoft Word. A coworker took it in, made the ticket, and was explained it could take some time to diagnose the problem, and we reached out to him with the issue and cost for fix if it could be done. Once I was done selling my soul, helping my customer, I started working on a few computers we had in the back. When I saw the ticket, figured I'd do a reset of Windows 10 on the computer and reinstall Office. He had an older version with a permanent license before the days of 365. So I was copying all the needed codes and did a backup. Technically, we're supposed to charge for these, but screw corporate. I wanted to help the customer. Well, while doing the backup, I noticed there wasn't really a whole lot. Some tax documents, work files, and pictures of their kid and them, so I just did an old copy-paste to a USB rather than a full clone. Mid-backup, his hard drive failed. Well, crap. At least I have some of the backup, right? Wrong. A little panicked, I hooked up his hard drive to our work desktop with a SATA to USB tool, and after much finagling, I was able to get into the drive to run our clone/recovery tool to back up whatever files we could. Couldn't get much, but got most of the photos and a few files. So I called him and explained what happened, and he wanted to keep the laptop, so we swapped in a replacement hard disk drive and actually had one spare we were going to chunk. Had just done inventory, and rather than correct the totals, my boss preferred the old chunk and hope LP never noticed. Oh, jeez. Needless to say, chunk usually meant Tex took turns taking extra merch home from pens to SSDs, so as long as they were less than $100, anything was fair game after inventory. It just so happened this hard disk drive was going to go home with CW, but he didn't need it. And this way we could probably still skirt by having to charge the customer. So we replaced the hard drive, reinstalled everything, and put all his files into a folder labeled backup. We figured since it was a slow day behind the counter, we wouldn't even charge him. We gave him a call, and when he got there, I was explaining what we did and showing him a few files we found, and mid-sentence he breaks down crying and bear hugged me in the middle of the store. Not really a hug guy, more of a pat on the back, but I was so taken back I just kind of froze when he released me. He explained that the photos of his son he thought were lost. He had passed away from cancer almost a year ago, and after their house fire they lost all their physical photos and all of his stuff since they weren't very tech literate and couldn't find where they had saved them on the computer. They had effectively lost anything of him. He tried to pay us. We refused and called the checkout counter and told them his money was no good, so he couldn't try to leave anything at the front for us either. The weather forecast called for a sunny day, but man, it was raining behind that counter, I swear. Dude, I can't even imagine that feeling. Thinking you lost everything, all your final memories in photos. I mean, you always have your mental memories, but photos and things like that, that's tough, man. good on you. You guys took care of a customer, and there's something to be said for that. Hey, if you guys want more stories like this, click this video right here. Thanks. See ya.